Okay, this next one I was really looking forward to, and if you are a horror fan, I think you might appreciate this one as well. This was the home used for the lead characters in a 2021 James Wan movie called Malignant. It's a beautiful, beautiful Victorian home here in Pasadena proper. Um, Let me show it to you. It's just breathtaking. You're not going to believe it. You're not going to believe how beautiful it is. There it is. There is the home from Malignant. It is so beautiful. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm saying that all day about all of these homes. So, chopper ahead. If you have not seen Malignant, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but it's about a woman. Gosh, I don't know what I can tell you. Well, her husband is murdered, and somebody seems to be stalking her and going around and killing people within her circle. And if you haven't seen it, I don't know that I should say anything more than that. It revolves around the main character, Melissa, and another character named Gabriel. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It is such a good horror flick. And that is the home Madison shares with her husband before he is slain, of course. Beautiful old Victorian out here in Pasadena. You do see it several times in the movie. When the murder occurs, there's a night scene where the police are arriving and it's pouring rain. You do see it at night a couple times. I tried to come out here last night and take a shot at night because it looks pretty creepy at night. But that's it. It's a magnificent film called Malignant. James Wan movie. Came out in 2021. Highly recommend you check it out. If you have not already seen it, you will thank me later. I just love it. It's so beautiful. I could stand here and look at it all day, but I probably have more spots to get to, so that's going to have to do it for the Malignant house. Alright, this next one was literally just around the corner from the Malignant house back there. Just could have walked it. Oh, bless you. So earlier we saw the Rialto Theater from Scream 2 at the beginning of the movie, and behind me is another a house from that movie. I was hoping I would get to this today. Tried to get to it last night because this scene did occur at night, but this street was pitch dark at night. No lights whatsoever. You couldn't even see it at all, and it's behind a wall of shrubs, so definitely can see it in the day though. So let me turn around and show you the house, and I'll tell you about it. Alright, so there's a little glare this time of day, but this is the house where the party was going on, the real wild party at this frat house. Cece, played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, was over at the other house, just kind of keeping her eye on things. Somebody had to stay behind and keep an eye on things, right? So everybody else went to the party over here at this house except for her. And what ended up happening? Well, if you saw Scream 2, you know what happened to Cece. And then, well, it kind of started happening to everybody, didn't it? Everybody, whoa, loud truck. Everybody that was in attendance at this party, it was not a good night for everyone. Now, in the movie, they actually make it look like this is across the street from the other house where Cece is, but it's not. It's on an entirely different part of town. So this is in Pasadena, and with any luck, hopefully I'll get to that other house as well. So this is the party house from Scream 2, y'all. How about that? Another beautiful home. I would be perfectly happy living there too. Wow. That was bone chilling. All right, we'll see you at the next one. Okay, so this next one is literally a third of a mile up the street from the last house from Scream 2. And there's an intersection between that house and this house. You make a right turn and there's the Malignant house. That is how close these houses are to each other. So this house is for any of you Hangover fans out there really cannot get close to it, but this is the house of Tracy lives. Doug, as you know, is getting married to Tracy, engaged to Tracy, and the wedding is going to be here at her father's palatial estate in Pasadena. And of course, we all know what happens, right? They decide to go to Vegas for a bachelor's party, and things kind of go horribly awry, but in the end it all works out, and Doug and Tracy are married on the premises of this property right here. So I'll turn the camera on and show it to you, but there's really not much to see without really trespassing on someone's private property, and I don't want to do that. So this is it. When you see the house in the scene, those gates there, you can kind of see the one on the left. The one on the right is obscured right now. Right now they have giant purple spiders for Halloween on the gates, but we see them approaching the house and the gates are open, and you see the house in the background. You do see that window up there, and you see the door, which is kind of blocked by that truck right now, but I feel like you see more of the house. I know you see more of the house, so I think they've installed some additional landscaping since then. Perfectly understandable. So that's really all I can show you, just a nice little quick glimpse here of the house from Hangover, where the wedding took place at the end of the film, and we saw it at the beginning of the film when preparations were being made for the wedding as well. That's it. On to the next. Alright, I'm standing in front of another movie house that is a real treat for me. I don't know where to start. So this movie starred the late great Charles Grodin, and it starred Bonnie Hunt as his wife. And Bonnie Hunt, I met her, was it last year? I forget. Just happened to bump into her in a restaurant, and she's a sweetheart. And the real star of the movie is a great, big, fluffy, giant Saint Bernard by the name of Beethoven. Yes, I'm standing in front of the Beethoven house. I'll turn around and show you, but there's a little sneak peek. So I remember loving Beethoven. I hadn't seen it in a long time, but I did rewatch it prior to coming out here. And you forget things. Selective memory, maybe? I am an animal lover. I hate animal cruelty, and my mind had just completely forgotten the part about how they were almost going to put Beethoven down. Because of because of that mean old guy that tricked him into thinking Beethoven was vicious. Beethoven wasn't vicious. Beethoven was adorable. So, so I got really teared up and everything, even after all these years as a grown woman. Those scenes where they were taking him to be extinguished, it just broke my heart, even though I knew it doesn't end that way. It has a happy ending. So it's a real treat to be here in front of the Beethoven house. I'll turn it around and show you. This one was about 7 minutes, I think, from the last one, so a little bit further. There are several scenes in which you see the exterior of the home. You see the back as well, but obviously we're not going to be seeing the back. There's one where the postal person is delivering the mail, and you see it about like this. Isn't it great? Isn't it just great? The freaking Beethoven house. Hello, Beethoven. Hello, Beethoven. Anyway, get me singing. Then there's one, actually it's a little bit further back because you see some of the street, I believe, and you see some of the curb over here. But Charles Grodin is coming out, I guess, to pick up the mail or pick up the newspaper. He comes out the front door and he's on the sidewalk there. So you see the house from about that angle. Like I said, it's a little further back. I'm in the middle of the street now because you see part of this curb over here. And then the other angle you see that I recall is kind of interesting because it's Halloween time right now. And there's a scene where the kids are going trick-or-treating, and you see them in their costumes, and they come out of the house, and they're taking Beethoven with them. And you see it from this angle. And it's interesting because it actually is Halloween right now. So as you can see, the house is all decorated with Halloween decor. So it's perfectly fitting for the movie. But the thing that's blowing my mind well, aside from being here, is check out this tree. If you go back and you watch that scene, and maybe I'll insert a picture of it here, this tree is nowhere near this size. This tree has had some serious growth since the filming of Beethoven. So yes, I recall for that scene, you have to come back. This light pole is about halfway through the thing over the driveway there. So, kind of like that. And this tree, it now completely blocks the part of the house that's behind it. Before, you could see, whatever's next to that window. I guess it's another window and a post. Before, you could see that, and now it's completely obscured by this giant tree. So that would be the other angle that I remember when the kids were going trick-or-treating. So I'm a dog lover, I'm a Charles Grodin lover, I'm a Bonnie Hunt lover. So this movie had all the things for me, all the feels. Well, except for the part I didn't like and my mind selectively blocked out. So, but it had a happy ending, so that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Even the part when little puppy Beethoven got loose and he was running down the street. That street was actually, if you look closely, that street was Colonial Street in Universal Studios. If you look really, really closely, when the puppy is running down the street, you could see Gabrielle Solis's house from Desperate Housewives in the background. But even that part was sad because he's all alone and he's just kind of scounging around trying to find some place to hang out, find something to eat. And he happens to make his way into this house. And the rest is history. So, Beethoven! Hope you liked it. Photo bombers. Okay, see you at the next one. Bye! Alright, we are back in South Pasadena now to take another look at another famous home. This home was made famous on a television show that premiered in 1987, and it was called 30-something. It starred Ken Olin, Mel Harris, Timothy Busfield, and Cynthia Heading. I may have that wrong. I have to double check that. If I've got that wrong, I'll put that in here. But 30-something, I mean, I wasn't 30-something yet, and so it kind of gave me an idea of what I had to look forward to. And Ken Olin was very easy on the eyes. So this is the 30-something house. I'll flip the camera around and show you. Patricia Wettig, that was her name, Wettig. A really good, strong ensemble cast. You really only saw the exterior of the house a couple times for a few establishing shots. Here comes a car. And everything inside, of course, was filmed on a set. So this is actually here on Bushnell in South Pasadena, where there's everybody knows there's some famous houses from a pretty big movie on this street. But that's not for this video. So this is Hope and Michael's house from 30-something. Ken Olin and Mel Harris. This was their house. I really liked having a sneak peek at what life might be like when I get into my 30s. And boy, they had some struggles. So, it's a beautiful house. I love the architecture. It's a little bit different. Of course, all of the houses here, look at that one. It's not in a movie, but isn't it cute? So the architecture here is very unique in South Pasadena. Like I said, no two homes look alike. But that is Hope and Michael's house from the show 30-something. If you never saw it, well, I don't know if it's streaming or not anywhere, but it was just a really good drama about day-to-day life in your 30s, newly married, having babies, balancing that with work and everything else in life. It was really good. So can cross that one off the South Pasadena list, the 30-something house. On to the next. Well, no tour of South Pasadena would be complete without stopping by this house. behind me. This house has been used in so many different projects. I literally had to bring my notes out so I could tell you about all of them. I would never, ever remember them all. It's an adorable little house. Let's start with... Oh, sorry guys, some cars coming. If you ever saw the movie Flowers in the Attic, it was a movie, it was a book, and then it was turned into a movie. Kind of a hard, difficult story. The family, the husband dies, and the family needs to go and move in with the mother's mother, or their grandmother, and things. What happens next is pretty horrible. But this is the home the family lived in at the beginning of the movie, before they were forced to sell their home after the father passed away, and they could not afford to keep it anymore. So you only saw it briefly, and it was at night, but this was the Flowers in the Attic house. Now, let me check my sheet again. Okay, the next one. Going back to the Rob Zombie's version of Halloween that was released in 2007, this house played the role of Tommy Doyle's house in that movie, which of course it's different from the house that played Tommy Doyle's house in the original Halloween. That's actually down in Los Angeles on Orange Grove. So there's two. Let me keep checking my notes. I can't remember them all. There was a movie with Tony Danza. I don't recall the year offhand. Probably back in the 80s, maybe 90s, called She's Out of Control. And he was a father watching his teenage daughter grow up and become obsessed with boys after she got her braces removed and she got her hair done, and she realized that there was a whole other side of life to be explored. So that was the She's Out of Control house as well. Okay, back to my list. I can't remember this all I told you. Okay, yes, so Bruce Almighty, another Jim Carrey movie. More cars coming, sorry. In that movie, in that movie, Jim Carrey becomes God, if you will. He has the power of God. He's the Almighty. But one thing he isn't able to do is make his girlfriend, played by Jennifer Aniston, happy. And at some point, she actually leaves him and moves in with her sister. Guess where? Right back there in that house. So that house played that role as well. Back to my list here. I think I have just two more. Little Fockers. So after Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers, there came Little Fockers with Ben Stiller, and De Niro was in it. And this was the house Ben Stiller and his wife were, they already had a home, but they were planning on moving into this home, and they were having a bunch of construction work done, and the contractors were taking their sweet old time, so they could not have it ready for their for their children's birthday. They wanted to have the party there, so they ended up having to have it at Owen Wilson's house, and that turned into a whole different thing. Oh, Barbra Streisand was in that too, if I failed to mention that, and Dustin Hoffman. Full all-star cast there. So that was their home that they were planning on moving into. And finally, I think this is the last one. Yeah. If you're familiar with American Horror Story, which is made by Ryan Murphy and Brad Falchuk, they broke out and started doing some other programs that, aside from American Horror Story, they did one on the O.J. Simpson trial. I think it was about 10 episodes. They did one on The Feud. Actually, I think it was called Feud, between Joan Crawford and Bette Davis. That one was really good. And then one year they did one called Ratched. It was sort of like a prequel story to the Nurse Ratched that we met in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So not a real character, not a real person in real life. But this was the home of Nurse Bucket. There were a couple times where one of her friends came to visit her. It was in 2 episodes. You saw it in 2 episodes. The episodes called The Dance and The Bucket List. Sorry, I have to check my notes, but you'll agree that's a lot, right? So that was Nurse Bucket's house, and we saw it, I believe, in the daytime and at night when her friend came to visit her. I think there was even a scene filmed on the front porch. So that's a lot for one house. And there's probably more that I don't even know about, but those are the ones I found during doing my research. So I'll turn the camera around and give you a better look. So there it is. Once again, seen in Flowers in the Attic, Rob Zombie's Halloween of 2007. She's Out of Control with Tony Danza. Bruce Almighty with Jim Carrey and the beautiful Jennifer Aniston. Little Fuckers with that all-star lineup I mentioned, Ben Stiller and De Niro and Dustin Hoffman and Streisand and and then also Ratched. This was Nurse Bucket's house. And who knows what else? I mean, it's a charming house. I could see why it'd be used over and over. Obviously, it's occupied. The children that lived there literally just came home and walked in the door. I was waiting for them to finish before I started filming this. So it is beautiful, and I could not finish a South Pasadena tour without covering this house. So there it is. This is on La France. Yes, La France Avenue in South Pasadena. Well, since I've been showing you some of the houses from Rob Zombie's Halloween of 2007, here is one more in South Pasadena. This is the house of Lindsay Doyle. We do see the exterior a couple of times. From what I recall, they're both at night, but it's a really pretty house. The Twin Peaks make it very recognizable. So if you're a fan of Rob Zombie's Halloween, this is the Wallace household. I thought everybody would like to see it. Yeah, pretty. Turn around. So again, this is back in South Pasadena. Beautiful, beautiful home. Like I said, I've yet to see an ugly one here. But this is the Wallace house. Isn't it pretty? I'm sorry, I feel like I'm repeating myself. I don't know what else to say. All these houses are gorgeous, and I know what I wanted to mention is maybe they picked it because of that little balcony on the top. You know, the original Wallace house and the original Halloween had a balcony like that. So it kind of has a little bit of a resemblance to it. So maybe that had something to do with it. But anyway, very nice selection in my opinion. On to the next. Now here's an interesting anecdote. This house that I already showed you that I said was the Doyle house, it literally is across the street and about maybe 4 or 5 houses down from the Wallace house I just showed you. So in the original Halloween, the Doyle and Wallace houses are across the street, directly pretty much across the street. And here they're still across the street from each other, but just a little further down. Well, the wind is starting to pick up, so you can still hear me okay. You know, can you go to South Pasadena at Halloween time and, you know, to do a tour of Pasadena and South Pasadena movie homes without stopping by one from Chucky? I don't think so. So this home behind me was Andy's house in Child's Play 2. So of course, you know, in the original, he and his mother lived in that beautiful apartment in Chicago. But in Child's Play 2, he lived here. I'll turn the camera around and show you. When you see the home, it looks about that angle. You see that giant tree over there on the right. Looks like a homeowner might be out there. I don't want to bother him, but this is Andy's house from Child's Play 2, and it's right here in South Pasadena, along with all the other beautiful movie houses of Pasadena and South Pasadena. Wanna play? Alright, so this next one is a little sad, a little somber right now. I always wanted to come to the house, but I didn't think it'd be under these circumstances. So back in 1991, when we had TGIF, a great lineup of television shows on Friday night, a new show premiered called Step by Step, and it starred Suzanne Summers and Patrick Duffy. And we just lost Suzanne about 2 weeks ago. She battled cancer for, I think I read 23 years. A lot of cars. I guess it would get better, go into remission, flare up again, and she fought and fought and fought. She was tough stock, but eventually it won, and she passed away, I think the day before her 77th birthday. So very sad. She touched a lot of people's lives with her acting, with her products, her books on healthy living and all kinds of things. So she's definitely someone that will be missed, but so I want to show you the step-by-step house. So this is it. This is the house we saw, the exterior and the opening credits and other scenes for the TGIF Friday show Step by Step with Suzanne Somers and Patrick Duffy, blending their families, having your usual challenges that come with that, but those two really loved each other. The characters, I mean, well, they probably loved each other in real life, but in a different way. Yeah, so it was a great little show. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed a lot of the TGIF Friday lineup, including this. So that is the step-by-step house. I had hoped that when I came to see it, Suzanne Somers would still be with us, will be among us, but unfortunately I guess I waited a bit too long. So rest in peace, Suzanne. You are loved and you are going to be missed. So after showing you the step-by-step house, at the beginning of every episode, there goes a car, similar to the beginning of the episode, right? We see them driving down a curved road. This is that curved road right here. I got stuff in my hands from that amazing Mexican bakery on the corner there, so I'm doing this one-handed right now. And as the car is driving by, you see them pass that museum right there. So that is the opening of Step by Step. So now that you've seen the step-by-step house, I wanted to also show you the path that the car travels during that opening sequence. Lots of activity in South Pasadena this weekend. But that is the South Pasadena Historical Museum that you see in the background. Curved road, museum, van blocking it, but you get the idea. Watering trough. Erected in 1906 by Women's Improvement Association as a rest stop for horses and men as they traveled between Los Angeles and Pasadena. Restored by the Women's Club of South Pasadena Juniors, 1968. Very cool. Well, it makes sense to be right across from the historical museum. You do see that in the background as they're driving by as well, obviously from further back, but you see that on the left as they're driving by and passing the museum on the right. TGIF right here. Well, after just leaving the step-by-step house and coming to this next house, I realized this might be the in memoriam portion of the video. I am standing in front of the Pee Wee Herman house here in South Pasadena. And as you all know, we lost Paul Reubens a few months back. So Paul Reubens a few months ago, Suzanne Somers a couple weeks ago. My condolences to their families, their loved ones, and their fans, and pray they all rest in peace. But this is Pee Wee Herman's house from Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Right here, of course, it was a different color in the movie and a lot of more accoutrement, shall we say. But this is it. I was wondering if I would see any, it hasn't been that long since he passed. I was wondering if I would still find any flowers or people dropping things off. I know everybody was coming here when the news broke and leaving flowers, and I don't see anything like that now. I guess time has moved on. So, Pee Wee Herman's house. Do 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 do. Aww. I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? So I saw something hanging from this tree and I wanted to come check it out and see if it had something to do with Paul Rubin. And this is actually super cool. So if you ever want to come out here, this is you pull up, take out your phone, go to the site using this scan code, and it takes you on a 2.5 mile round trip guided walk through movie history. So it will guide you through all the filming locations here in South Pasadena. It pulls it up right on your phone. I went to the site and it looks to be pretty informative. So if you ever want to come out here and do your own tour, that's pretty cool. Although all of these addresses are online, all you have to do is a Google search and you can find anything, but that's nice because it has everything in one site that are located within a 2.5 mile radius. Farewell, Pee-wee. Farewell, Paul. You made the world a brighter place. Literally just across the street. Across the street and one house down, two houses, one house, two houses, is another spot. It's not a house, but it's another spot from a famous scene in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So I'll show you that while I'm here. And that's going to be this yard right here. So yes, it's a house, but it's not the house that it's known for. It's not the house that was necessarily featured in the scene. We see Pee-wee riding his bike. He's doing all these little maneuvers and he's showing off to these boys that are standing in the front yard right there. There was no fence at the time, and as you see, he somersaults, he falls off his bike, and then he says, "I meant to do that." Sure you did, Pee-wee. Sure you did. But as you can see, here's this house, and as we pan the camera, there's Pee-wee's house. So it's just across the street and basically one house down. Well, this is about as good a spot as any to wrap this up. Hope you enjoyed this little tour of Pasadena and South Pasadena movie homes. Why not right in front of Pee-wee's place? Why not? No better place than that. So hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, please give it a like and subscribe. Yes, I'm just doing this as a hobby, but every subscriber and like helps. So thanks again for watching and have yourself a wonderful day. Bye.